let's bring back Dr. Edward Rice, who's got a superhero that he wants to talk to us about and actually give us a reason why we want to talk about it. Dr. Rice, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So you are a journalism professor at the Moreno Valley College in California,
Mhm.
but you're also an author.
I am an author, and I have to say, since I'm on the Washington Informer, a Howard grad, and I remember the war, and I remember those days. So I was like, okay, I don't know if I qualify because I was only there for like 5 years, but having been back to DC so many times, like I know exactly what you're referring to.
Well,
So
you get two stamps. You get a stamp because you were here for 5 years. You get a stamp for being a Howard grad. So
okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
now
I'll take
mind
it.
you, it's a book of 100 stamps. You're only getting two, but you're on your
I'm
way.
working on. I'm working on the rest of them. I'm working on the rest of them. So we'll be good.
Wonderful. So tell me about this book and who this superstar is. We've been keeping a secret for the past 30 minutes.
So the book is introducing Cosmic Granny. It's the first one, so that's where the introducing comes
Now
from.
say the name again.
It's Cosmic Granny.
Cosmic Granny.
Yes,
And
there
she
it
is
is.
the
She's the main,
superhero.
yes, she's the main hero. So the idea for the book came about honestly when I was in the 6th grade. So it was a classroom assignment, and my late mother kept the kept the assignment. She loved the story that I wrote and kept it. And so after she passed, my dad found it, and she had always urged me to write it, to update it, and I was like, "Yeah, it's something I'm gonna get to, right?" And then my dad found it and was like, "Are you ever gonna do something with this?" And so, I was like, "Well, let me see." And then I updated it, and through a series of what I say are very fortunate events, um, I. As a professor, publishers reach out to us all the time. So I was talking to a salesman at the company that I work with now, and he mentioned that they had a new children's arm, and he asked me, do you know any authors? And I was like, well, actually, and I sent them my stuff. They loved it. Asked me if I was interested in publishing. I obviously was. And as they say, the rest is kind of history. I had, at the time when they reached out to me, I had already updated it, and I have like 2 or 3 stories in the can already. So the first one was pretty much done. We went through the editing process and changed and tweaked a few things, but it was pretty seamless. Found an illustrator whose work, as you can see, I really loved, and from there, went on about creating a book. And so now I'm in the process of adding more stories, building out the Cosmic Granny universe.
You have to, because when I got to the end, I was like, wait a minute. I got to read the next one because it just left me on the edge of my seat. I
That was
enjoyed
intentional.
it, but it left me on the edge of my seat. I'm like,
That was
okay, I've got to read
intentional.
the next one. Okay.
That was intentional. I wanted you guys to come back. I want people to look for the next story. I wanted them to be interested in her adventures with her grandkids, the Astro kids, who also fight evil and fight crime with her in the cosmos. So I'm glad that you want to read more, because there's more coming. Ideally, I would like to put one out like every spring, every summer. Give it a chance to find its audience, give people a chance to invest in the characters and things like that. And so eventually have just a whole series of books, big picture cartoons, films. Like I'm open to it. I'm open to it all, but I'm really, just excited to see where this character and this series can go.
So, I mean, I think you reminded us that is it this Sunday that's Grandparents' Day?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
It's
and we
September.
know we definitely know how important grandparents are in our community. I mean, they
Mhm.
are in many cases grandparents are the parents. They're raising the kids, which
Absolutely.
make them the real superheroes.
You know,
Uh, so, but again, why grandparent? Why was it was it the grandmother or the grand nanny or
well,
why is she so important?
That's an interesting question. So like I said, initially I was a kid when I did it, and I wanted to stand out. I wanted to get a good grade. It was an assignment. I wanted to do something different, and so it was really just an opportunity for me to to distinguish myself from the rest of the students and make sure I got a good grade. So I would say that was likely, probably where my mind was at that point. But when I revisited, what I realized is I said, okay, I have an opportunity here because we can reimagine what heroes look like. Like
Hmm.
there isn't really a hero that looks like her. There really isn't a hero out there. And so, I'm always curious because in our culture now, the way that it's kind of set up, heroes don't age, but we know that they do, right? Some of them are gods, some of them aren't, but across the spectrum, like they never really age. And so what I wanted to do is reimagine the superhero and say, what could it look like if our grandparents, or if we had an elderly superhero, or we had a grandmother. I mean, when you think about it, they have the wisdom, they have the skills, like why not? And even as I age, our 50s don't look like our parents' 50s, and theirs don't look like their parents. So I think it's very possible for a grandparent to be a superhero. Like you said, they've been pillars of our community and holding up our families for years. Why not put them in a costume and let them fight crime?
And that's what I wanted to talk about briefly, because we're not talking about, grandmas that necessarily, you know, what, cook Sunday meals or any of that. We're talking about a cosmic granny,
Yeah,
who's flying spaceships and,
and everything, and the background. So here's so the background of the character that I kept from my original writing was that she's a retired space commander. At in the original writing, I had her working at NASA. Because of copyright and stuff, I wasn't for sure I could do that now. So I just had her working at the intergalactic. She was an intergalactic space commander, but the idea was that she's rooted in science. She is rooted in military training. Even in the beginning of the story, they go through a series of exercise so that they can become a commander. So the idea, obviously, what I'm hoping is that we can see and maybe tease out later is the fact that, she's a scientist, a trained fighter. She has a military background, which means, she has weapons experience, and, she has survival skills, excuse me. And then she has her own instincts as a grandmother, to just protect and to care for her kids, her community, and to want to stamp out evil wherever it is. And so it's a futuristic type of story. So it's set in the cosmos, so there's even that piece to build out. So it's definitely something that I want to build.
Well, while it's fiction, a lot of it's real,
Hmm.
because we do have grandmas who, have science backgrounds and
Absolutely.
who want to fight crime in the community and do all that kind of stuff. So it's fiction, but it's real and it's very colorful. I think the graphics are tremendous. You say there's another one, hopefully, or others on the way. And so I really, really am excited about that. Any hints about what might be coming next?
Well, I think again, sort of, I want to again build out her universe, right, and tell and share more of her adventures. So, in the next book, I'll introduce a different character because sort of like the same way that the one thing I guess comparison that I could make, how you have Batman and he have like his main arch nemesis, which is probably the Joker, but then there's a whole other cadre of villains.
Yes.
There's the Penguin and the Riddler and Mr. Freeze. So I kind of wanted to model her after sort of that type of storytelling where she has the main character, which is Meteor Molly in this case, but then there's another one, Denture Dan, and there's a couple other villains that are coming. So I want to introduce those characters. The other thing too is that she fights crime with the Astro Kids. Those are her grandkids. So I want to begin to tell some of their stories and show some of their expertise and some of the their abilities as well, and just really focus on how they support and help her fight crime. So that's what's coming down the pike. Again, just telling more of these stories, sending her on more adventures, helping her do a little exploration of the cosmos, and again fighting crime and stamping out evil along the way.
Well, Dr. Rice, thank you for so much for introducing us to Cosmic Granny. I think Chevy has placed up where people can get the book. Is it
Yes.
all digital or is it are there hard
Yeah, so
copies?
it's digital and hard copy, so you can go to the website, which is cosmicgranny.com, and there's a link that says buy the book, and there's another link that says the debut book is available, and you can click on right there. Again, as you can see right here, I'm on IG at cosmic.granny, and Facebook, you can search and find me at Cosmic Granny. It's also available at Barnes and Nobles. Amazon is getting there, so they're not quite there yet. But barnesandnobles.com, you can go in and you can purchase the book. And again, you can also go to the website cosmicgrain.com and you can buy the book there.
Fantastic. Well, I cheated. I read it online, but I'm going to go back and get a copy because I just need to have that in my library. And one
Okay.
day I want to find out what happened to her Earthling partner,
Yes.
Earth Granddaddy. I don't know where he is, but
Well,
I'd
you
love
know
to
what?
hear that story.
We might explore that. We might explore that. We might have a cosmic granddaddy that comes and joins her along the way.
Don't get me started.
Right, right. I mean, it can go a lot of places. I'm
It
open, and
can. It
like
can.
I said,
Yeah.
it started in the mind of a 12-year-old, and now it's in his adult mind now. So there's a lot of places where the character can go. So I'm open to a lot of different interpretations. So
Well, keep going. Keep going. I
yes, I will.
appreciate it.
I plan on it. I plan on it.
Thank you so very much for joining us today. And
Thank you.
we're going to keep reading. Okay, doke.
Thank you for having
All
me.
righty.
You have a good one. Okay. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye bye.